Everyone, welcome to this week's episode on Laid Back the Zinga podcast. Our topic for this week is Igbo Apprenticeship System, and our guest for this week is a retired rapper who now works as a business performance manager and data analyst in one of the biggest banks in Africa. Hello, Ifeanyi. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Arinza. Thank you for having me here.
So, is this your first podcast, or have you done something similar before?
Well, this is the first time I'm getting on a podcast. Actually, as the first. I've not done it before. I've not done something similar before, unless being an amateur pundit on YouTube can count as being on a podcast.
When you say amateur pundit, what did you work on?
It was during the I think 2018 African Cup of Nations.
Okay.
Had the studio in the office where we analyzed the performance of teams leading up to the finals. I think Round the Ground is what it's called, and it was on Red TV. TV is YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, This is something similar, so you feel right at home anyway. But let's get into our topic. What does this Igbo apprenticeship system actually mean for those who don't know what it means before we go into it?
So, to the best of my knowledge, we call it Igbo boy.
Yeah.
Where would you say young men from disadvantaged backgrounds are taken up by people that run businesses, for them to be trained based on the agreements with the parents or guardians, for them to be trained depending on the number of years on the agreement, between 6 years, 7 years. And at the end of the apprenticeship, they are set up, business set up for them, or they are given funds to set up their own businesses. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, so at the end of their apprenticeship, they are given money or given the opportunity to actually go out and actually stand on their own then?
So it depends on the formula employed by their masters or their bosses. Let's say masters. Sometimes they have a money set aside for them to start their businesses. For some bosses, which I've seen, they on the last day of the training or apprenticeship, they require or they tell their apprentices or their Omo boy or their Awa boy to use the money, to use the profits made from the goods he has sold for the year, set up businesses. So set up his business. So for example, you have someone that sells fabrics, and he sells the fabrics for 5,000 naira. And the last year of the apprenticeship, he leaves the Onwa boy to run the shop, and he's expected, okay, this is sold back for 5,000, you sell it for 6,000, sell it for 7,000. Whatever profits you make on top of the official sales price is what you are going to use to or what's going to be used to settle you.
Okay.
So it now depends on the industry, or if the person is industrial, how do you maximize profits and make your own money?
Oh, okay. So by actually selling the products of their bosses, they are actually trying as much as possible to make money for themselves as well, to start up their own business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's link that a little bit to the current tech startup that we have in Silicon Valley and the rest of them. Is there any way the Igbo apprenticeship system is the model similar to the startup we see in Silicon Valley, or is there any difference?
Are you talking about internship or?
Internship, anyway, like, you have a lot of companies popping up, tech companies in Silicon Valley right now, and you have venture capitals, everybody trying as much as possible to invest in these companies to help people to stand on their own. So is there any link there or between that startup model, the venture capital system now we see in startups? Is there any similarity, or do you think they are similar, or is there any difference there between that venture capitalist model and the Igbo apprenticeship model? Do you think there's any difference or similarity there?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't see any similarity because you're looking at the startups. They already have this business model running. They already have their ideas. They are running their businesses, and they meet these VCs or angel investors. I'm not well versed in that area, but I know that they meet these guys. They go for tech events. They meet investors that have to bring money into their businesses to help them scale up. So, for example, you're building a payment system for the unbanked, and you find out that okay, you're generating a lot of volumes. That's when you meet the VCs or the investors, or you try to get investors to help you scale up your business for your business to go wider. But the apprenticeship system is like an informal school that gives no certificates. So you hardly see someone that has gone through seen the four walls of a higher institution or university or a polytechnic coming into the market, or because it's usually business people that stay in the market, coming to those environments and saying, okay, I want to learn a trade where you know that you're not going to get paid, you're going to stay in the same house with your master. Apart from the job, the goods you sell in the market, you are going to do some run errands for the wives, and if they have grown-up kids, run errands for the grown-up kids, take care of the house. I don't think it's similar.
Okay, but now I get it. Because most of the people who actually involved in this apprenticeship system are people from low income backgrounds and the rest of them. So, but is there any way we can remodel and refine it to inculcate educated people to see if we can actually use it to solve unemployment problems you have in Nigeria? Is there any way we can actually tweak it?
Yeah, of course. So, I'm looking at the system. I believe most of those people, like, I say they come from low income background. Probably parents probably earn less than $1 a day, and they need their child to help them better their lives. So they put them in those. They get these guys that come from the city. Maybe they come back home for Christmas, and they tell this guy, okay, take care of my child. The child probably just finished secondary school, or managed to finish JS3 and is sent into the market. Actually, on one side, I see it as child labor.
Yeah.
So because a lot of them are less than 18 years, below the age of 18. On the other side, you see it as them going through some informal training. So there has to be a balance. So if you're getting those people to do this, there should be, I feel, it should go under maybe in Nigeria, for example, it should go under a ministry where you have to officially sign up that you're a guardian to this person. And as you're training this person, they should set up an education system around it. So this person can, maybe the government funds it, this person can go to the shop, work for a certain time, then get some formal education. So as you are done with your 6 years, or whatever year is stipulated, between 6 and 7 years, to the best of my knowledge, you come out a better refined businessman or better refined business person with knowledge of how to run a business, knowledge of how to do accounting, knowledge, maybe linguistic knowledge, how to speak, maybe, because some of these business people, they run business with expatriates, or they travel to import goods. So how to communicate with foreigners, how to communicate with business partners. So you come out refined, also with a certificate. When you are set up. So I think it's better to do it that way.
Yeah, so that means we can actually refine it to imbibe our educated people to be part of it then. But yeah, but so far so good without this modification right now, the way the model is right now. Do you think it has contributed a lot to Nigerian economy, in your own opinion?
I think the contribution has really been immense. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, it's really kicked off after the Civil War, and you find out that people have always been about Igbo men, Igbo people like business, Igbo people are about business. But you find out that before the war, Igbo people were not really about business. Yeah, they don't stay one place, or they were a nomadic tribe.
So hold on, you said
But
before the war they were not into business. So what were they into then?
they were not really into business. They don't stay one place because, how would I say, the land available for Igbos wasn't much. You understand? The land mass is not as much as other tribes. So they had to, when the missionaries came and everything, they had to, some of them got educated fast, embraced Christianity fast, and the colonizers, they used them for administrative officers in different parts of the country, especially in the north, because they didn't embrace education.
Interesting.
But even though there are a few businesses, then I believe Odumegwu Ojukwu was a businessman. We didn't really have a lot of successful ones. However, after the war, and in the spirit of Ifeanyi and I, nobody should leave his brother behind. A lot of people that started running businesses after the war and became successful, went back to the village, or they go back to the village to bring more people to the city, train them and set them up. And this has continued, even though a lot of us, it might not be the real history, but this is the one I know. And you find out that a lot of people have continued with that in business, even in education. Okay, you probably go home, okay, I'll train you in school. You train your brother in school, but generally it has been in business. And you find out that or this kind of thing helps to boost the economy, because you're pulling out people from poverty.
Yeah.
You're actually out people that, okay, they don't have the opportunity to make money, and you're bringing them to a new place. This is an opportunity for you to better yourself and make money. So in a working society, which I believe Nigeria isn't, in a working society, it's a huge plus for the society, because the government can do what they can, but at the end of the day, the onus lies on the people to generate wealth. The government can create policies around SMEs and businesses, but it's people that should create wealth or generate wealth. So you find out that it has boosted our SMEs. You now come to Lagos, you have a lot of shops, businesses in Lagos, not just Igbos now. You have people that have adopted that style of business, adopted the apprenticeship system, running their own businesses successfully, and it has added to the economy of the country.
Yeah, interesting. I had never ever thought about it like that. Like when you say before the war that Igbos were not into business, then it just made me think about when I read There Was a Country. I remember in the book, actually the bird mentioned that most of the Igbos were in civil service, including himself.
Yeah.
They were in civil service. They were top officials in civil service in Lagos and the rest of them. So that's actually interesting, because I had never thought about that. So now it just made me think. So that means the war actually made a lot of Igbos to revert back to business to actually survive, because most of the families were wiped away during the Civil War. So
Yeah.
now, since you feel like the model, but this is the problem I have a little bit, because ever since then, yes, I know a lot of them have tried as much as possible to go back to the city, set up businesses, and then try to help their family members, relations far and wide, to actually pull them up to actually become someone. But if you notice, the Igbo business model most of the time is always Emeka and Sons, Ebuka and Sons. So, why do you think that most of the time it does not? They don't develop it into a proper corporate entity? Because if you notice, sometimes when the patriarch of the family or the person who set up the business initially dies, the business dies with them. Why do you think they haven't evolved to create their business into like a corporate entity where you have like board of directors and the rest of them? You see what I mean? Why do you think it went this way?
It's, will I say it's difficult, because of will I say orientation or PTSD from the war? Because you find out that most people that run businesses, they don't train their kids in the business. So the business is just there. You're not, okay, you are training other people to set up their own businesses. I say a business that is called Emeka and Sons, and the person dies, and the business starts. But when the guy is now getting buried, or when the guy is during the guy's burial, you are seeing a lot of people coming to pay their respects. This person was my Oga when this man, I served under this man for 6 years. This one, I served under this man for 6 years. And you find out that if the business runs for a big business, for example, that, let me say, has up to 4 boys at a time, or 5 boys at a time, 5 more boys at a time, and the business is big. If that business runs for 30 years, you find out that this person has set up, let me say, 5 times 6, that's, let me say you have set up about 30 boys or 30 guys to make money. Between 30 to 40, my maths is not correct, but it's something around that. You find out that he has trained a lot of people. But I feel what they don't do right is, I feel instead of you training people to set up your business, I feel most times when you find out, okay, this person is industrious, this person I'm training is industrious, and you want to set up a business, why not now put the person under paid employment? Probably the person is managing a branch of your business which you own like 30% of, or you own in name, but it's a franchise. So for example, you have maybe ShopRite. We have ShopRite, a South African company, or let me use Nike. They're an American company, but they have shops in, for example, in Lagos, not directly owned by Nike, but people are using their merchandise. Now you can run that type of business when you settle your boy. Okay, you can use my name for this business. You are managing this business for these next 5 years, and this business is for me. Also, you find out that when you have those kind of people trained in the business, running the business too, you find out that the business will grow after you leave. But also that comes to the part of succession in the business, where, okay, when the person now dies, who now runs the business? You now have your kids that went through formal education, that they have acquired a different type of skills. Now, what a lot of businesses do is, you are not doing business, go to school. We are not sending you to school to run this business. So you find out that those kids, they go to school without having interest in the family business. They probably go to school, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a tech person. And the funny thing is, some of the skills they have gotten can be used in the business. Someone goes to school to read business administration. Someone goes to school to be an accountant, and you are doing on your own thing. You're working for KPMG, or you're working for Deloitte, where you can actually come to your father's business, audit your father's business, to see, okay, this is what's missing, this is how you can scale up the business. Because also what I also noticed is they lack innovation.
Yeah.
Now, let me use an example. This is not an Igbo company. Um, big transportation businesses were started by Igbo people. And it wasn't after the war. I think Odumegwu Ojukwu had his own business before he died before the war. Then after the war, like a couple of them started their own businesses. You could hear of Ifeanyichukwu. You could hear of names like GO. You could hear of I think those are the two I can think of currently. But there were other ones that Ifeanyichukwu was popular when I was a teenager. And
yeah.
But right now, where is it?
And I remember Motors actually folded up after he died. Yeah.
Yeah. So you find out that even there's this rich guy in Enugu then. He was from my mom's village, Okonkwo. I think he had a very big construction. Even in construction, like even in formal, he had a very big construction company. When he died, everything went down the drain. So I feel most times when these businesses they get bigger, they don't train their kids to tow the parts. Now the example I want to make is there's this transport company called God is Good.
Yeah.
So it started as God is Good Motors.
Yeah.
And you found out that the child of the person that started the business got into the business and revolutionized the whole business. Now they have their transport business. They also have the tech arm in the business, which they are trying to scale up. And they also have the logistic business.
Interesting.
And a lot of people now, like if you go to their parks, some of their big parks, it's well organized compared to the traditional
other companies.
And you find out that a lot of people are now collecting their model. Even now, the traditional companies like GUO and maybe there's this one now, Libra Motors. So those ones are now copying the innovation that God is Good brought. And because that business has transitioned from the parent to the child. Yeah. And as the business scales up, now that leads us into the business scaling up. Okay, they have the tech arm and whatever. Maybe they can go into drone delivery of goods, because in the whole transportation industry, I think they have the monopoly of, or they are the biggest logistic company there. So now they can decide, okay, let's scale up this arm of the business. Should we now move into air transportation? Should we now move into rail transportation? The possibility is endless for them because of innovation. So most of these businesses, I want to go to shop and come back and make profits. A lot of them don't have innovation. A lot of them don't try to grow the business from the inside.
Think about it right now. Do you think they are like that because lack of education so limits their perspective? They don't see the bigger picture to actually see, we can actually expand this business. Do you think that's the case here?
So yeah, a lot of times lack of education and lack of willingness for the family members, for example. It basically starts off as a family business.
Yeah.
To join, and so is lack of education. The father, okay, you're a secondary school dropout, and you were trained in the business. You now started the business, and you're now making money. And your child, you actually want good things for your child. So you send your children abroad. They should not come back. And when the person now dies, the business now dies with them. But even at that, I think the onus is also on the kids or the people they give birth to, or the family, to say, okay, this is a family business. Let us make this a family business. Let us grow this family business. And also a lack of, let's say, planning or foresight. So you see regular companies or build. They have this plan. Okay, this is our plan for 5 years. A traditional shop owner, what the person just wants to do is make money, get extra shop or 2 extra shops, just stock up the 2 extra shops and make money. Build house in the village. I can build house in Lagos. nobody is looking at, okay, what is the next step? What happens when I am no more? When I'm retired from the business? How will this business scale up? A lot
Yeah,
of them don't think towards that.
yeah. No, because every time I look at the businesses, you see Emeka and Sons and the rest of them, and you start wondering why can okay, for example, let me give you an example. The sports company, Adidas. Adidas is a family
Yeah.
business. We all know that. We all know that the person that started Adidas, by that time he died, he had his children scattered all over the company. But they scaled up the company to get to where they are today. See what I mean? So you start wondering why can't
Yeah.
an Igbo man set up a business to the point that um when the children grow, because I know most of these businessmen, they try as much as possible to send their children to school anyway. So how can they why can't they imbibe, or maybe they bring their children into the business and see if their child is into tech, like you said with the example you gave, and the child with God is good motors, if I'm correct. Why can't that child create the technological arm of that particular business? Maybe this person, the other one is into business management. Why can't this person be in charge of the business development side and see how they can scale up their? You see what I mean? So it is sometimes I wonder why they can't do that. Okay, but that leads me to my final question actually. So if you had the chance to set up a startup company or a hub using the Igbo apprenticeship model, how would you go about it?
I think for me to do that, so in my earlier point, I said you need the support of the government.
Yeah.
So it will get to a time where the government needs to support someone that is opening a business. So if I am to open, let me say, a hub for, okay, I want to start, so basically starting a business, right?
Yeah.
I have the funds to start up a business. I feel I have to first find a way to train the people I work with.
Yeah.
And also show them, okay, this is where we are going with this. This is what you stand to gain. Because you find out that most times they just bring someone to businesses, they bring someone to the city and it's okay, I got a bad boy for 6 years. And
then afterwards,
you're just doing your own, you're just doing your thing. Let me just get to that 6 years. You're not loyal to your boss. Your boss has not told you, okay, this is where I want this business to be. Like, if you really serve me well, if you really do this well, I'm going to reward you, I'm going to do this for you. They don't do that. They just bring the boy, and you find out that most times they get maltreated at home and
oh wow,
steal from the boss because the success rates, the way it's romanticized on TV and everything, it's not that high. A lot of boys, they steal from their bosses. Sometimes the boss wouldn't want to settle the guy, accuses him of stealing, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So for this kind of thing, you have to, when you employ someone, I think as a business, you should have a vision and a mission. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What kind of skill set do I need? I wouldn't just go to anywhere to get somebody to work with me.
Yeah.
Right. And while you're working with me, I'm trying to tell you, okay, see, if we can scale up this business in the next 6 years, in the next 4 years, this is where you're going to be. And in the next 10 years, this is where you're going to be. You're building a business. Like you said, Adidas, and I think you should know that Adidas, the brother to Adidas, owns Puma.
Yeah.
Or started Puma.
Yeah.
So you find out that while you're bringing, or you watch mafia movies where they have this crime families. Okay, for example, you have this crime family in New York, this other crime family in LA, and you don't even know the name of, you just know the name of the family.
Yeah.
But the father dies, the son takes over, the crime still continues as long as the family is well run.
The succession there, yeah.
The succession is superb. So that is what people should also imbibe. Okay, you're starting a family business, even though your kids have to go to school, they have to understand what's happening in the business and also know that, okay, if something happens to their father or their mother that started the business, you can step in. If this person is indisposed, you can represent, because most times you find out that I'm an illiterate, I started a business, or I finished in SS3, I started a business, I have grown up kids. And there are sometimes that your business is getting so big that you need to know the laws of the country. Now you have a child who is a lawyer. Your child can come and be like, I can bring, for example, and say, okay, you have to handle the legal and risk arm of my business. How exposed am I to the risks? How exposed am I to the government policies? And you have another child that is very brilliant, that is a good negotiator, a good salesman. The person can come and, okay, head your sales. Okay, how do we get this business to scale up from this particular point? How do we negotiate with governments? How should we negotiate with policymakers? You find out that as you start bringing in those people in the business, and you can also now, as business is now going up, you can now hire people, right? Or those guys, the people you are now bringing in to train your trainees, you are probably now paying them and also training them. So you find out that the business grows better.
Interesting. Because if you think about, I don't think I've seen most of those Igbo companies, Americans. I don't think I've seen any that actually evolved into a company where you can actually buy shares. Because if there's an incentive there for the people who are coming to work as apprentices to these men, you give them an incentive of actually owning a share or a chunk or an equity in the business at the end of the year. I think that would be helpful to actually help them to scale up the business and help the business to actually evolve.
Yeah, of course, that could work, but you also have to look at our peculiar we have in the country. Like, the government can wake up today and make a policy that will crumble your business in 24 hours.
True.
So most people just set up their business that, okay, this business is making money. As long as something that happens, okay, the government can wake up and say, we are stopping importation of fabrics, where you have not created opportunities for local production. And you find a lot of businesses that, okay, I have these people working under me. It gets to a point you cannot import fabrics, the cost of things goes up, and the person is now struggling to even settle the Unwa boy that he has, and he's saying, okay, let me switch to this other business. So I think the government, if there's an enabling environment for the government, for example, these businesses, they can get easy access to loans to scale up their businesses. I feel you might find out that in the next 10 years, 20 years, let me say 10 years, 20 years is too much. You find out some businesses would actually get into the stock exchange. People can also own shares in the business. The business is also going to scale up and become, will I say, conglomerate. So it's not easy, because you find out that the biggest businesses in this country or in Nigeria are in bed with the government, or they go and sign deals with the government, and probably the government gives them a concession or the government gives them a monopoly. So you find this business growing and growing. This person is in bed with the government. So I feel that the business owners should try and be strategic. So you can't it's not just about going to meetings and you're trying to run your business and you're going to meetings and just market meetings or estate meetings. If opportunity presents itself for you to meet the person representing you in the government, you try and meet the person. Okay, this is how this policy is affecting my business. This is how this policy is affecting my business. The person represents you. Or if you have a chance to meet with the governor of your state, you get him to help you with your business. Now, I think that's the best way to go about it. But sitting in your shop and moaning about dollar rates and everything is going to hurt the business. Now, in saner climes, you don't really need to do all that. But that is it. It is what it is in this country. So you have to do what you got to do. And for And also for training your people that are your apprentice, I think the best thing is, apart from training them for the job, you also have to train them to face life.
Yeah.
Because see, if you bring 20 people, for example, you have trained 20 people in 30 years, and you equip them that, okay, you try to tell them, okay, this business is our business. So if you can scale up, and when you are done, you have like 20% of this business, you have like 10% of this business. You find out that this person is going put in the work. At least for the first set of people you train, you grow the business with them. Now, subsequently, anybody you are now bringing in looks up to those people, or they will look up to those people. Okay, I think if I stay here for 6 years, I can be like this person.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Interesting. Well, hopefully, the Igbo business system can be remodeled, and so we can have something like God is good, because I think we really need that. We have a lot of people now, and I think we should evolve with the times and develop. Yes, I know it started post-war because people are trying to survive, but now you can actually turn it into a big corporate entity. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi, for coming on to the show.
Okay, thank you, Arinze, for having me.
I hope you had a good time. Since it's the first podcast.
Yes, I did. I'm surprised I did.
Yeah,
I did well.
Definitely. We should do more in future.
All right. That'll be fine. That'll be nice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.